comments before I begin. I've got a prepared speech, but your enthusiasm is very infectious. I got to tell you. We promote democracy. That's how we see our day-to-day activities, and we take great pride in that. I was also instructed that I better be sure to introduce Kathy McClue, who's the Assistant Registrar of Voters. Kathy, will you please stand? She's been in our office for 30 years. She started at a very young age. And I got to tell you, make another confession, I feel under a little bit of pressure here. And you guys may understand this, or a good portion of you. Looking at the agenda, I was an hour down, and here we are a little bit more than that. But, so if I'm fidgety, it's because I had to kind of felt pressure to go to the bathroom, and I didn't because I kept waiting. So, those two confessions. Let me just, before beginning my prepared comments, let me just address two issues, and maybe even more than that. There was an issue a couple of weeks ago. Well, in fact, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, the woman was arraigned in Fresno Superior Court. And that incident just boggles my mind. When you file for office, you have to pay a filing fee. You're going to run for office. And you can either pay it out, or you can get credit for signatures of every registered voter. And this individual went out for two candidates, one for city council, one for the board of supervisors. And this is solely for a credit, a financial credit on the filing fee for those candidates. She went out and submitted 10 pages. There are 10 signatures on each page, 10 names of registered voters, their addresses, and their signatures. And we verify every signature. I mean, we don't just accept it on face value. We pull up, we take the petitions, we have staff, we take each and every petition, look at each and every signature, compare it with the affidavit of registration of the registered voter, and they have to match. If they don't match, you're not going to get credit. First of all, they have to be registered and they have to be that individual. Well, just looking at the petitions, they were all written in the same pen, all in the same writing, and all the signatures matched. So, you know, that just boggles my mind that anybody would be that creative and think that we weren't going to see it. So, I mentioned that there were 100 signatures. Our office conducts elections, and when we find irregularities, we refer them to law enforcement. And typically, it's the voter fraud unit of the Secretary of State's office. And that's what we did in this case. We forwarded to the Secretary of State's office. They identified 10 of the voters, showed them the petitions, asked them if that was their signature. They said no, and that's how the case went forward. So they moved on 10 voters, and each one of those voters, or that incident, totals 3 felonies. So this creative person is looking at 30 felonies. So I just don't understand it. So that's moving forward through the courts, and that's how our office interacts with law enforcement. And I just can't help, Glenda Hill is always in our office. And I got to tell you that my heart goes out to you and the other residents of Orange Cove, because every election, we have law enforcement that's assigned to us each election, whether it's the Vice Intel unit from the Sheriff's Department or the voter fraud unit investigator. And every election, we send either one or both of those folks out there because there are problems there. There's no question about that. So those are just two comments that I wanted to, probably my 5 minutes are probably up. Or, okay. Yes?
Okay, here's a question. 2.5 years ago, somebody came up with 20,000 votes, mail-in votes, that were going through the recycling.
Oh.
Remember?
Well, that was an allegation.
No, actually, I knew the guy who had it.
Well, the sheriff's unit, the vice intel unit went out, recovered about 15. So there weren't 2,000. That was the claim from that individual. Well, no, it was the claim.
No, maybe it was a claim. There was a lot of them because they filled the whole back with okay, and the sheriffs were going crazy. Everybody was going crazy. Your office was going crazy. I called you. Okay.
Yeah, that was, well, let me just,
There were more than 15. Believe me.
okay, whatever the number was, they were a recycling company, correct? Of sorts. They recycled paper for the county of Fresno. So those were not active ballots. Those were, we're required by law, state law, to maintain ballots and voting documents for 22 months. After the 22 months, we get rid of them. In this case, they went through the recycling. We no longer use that recycling company. So,